So, Tal would like you to discuss the difference between duality aspects and twin ray aspects.
The words that you use here on this planet are confusing. You talk of rays, and you talk of light, and you talk of duality, and you talk of these things. And in the book, we talk of fragments, and we talk of splitting a single fragment into a duality fragment that is not positive and not negative. It is just the other half of the fragment. And he has posted this picture where one side is blue and one side is red, and there's a positive and a negative. This is not how consciousness works. Does not work with polarity through the consciousness. Consciousness is unity. A polarity exists in this galaxy and is in the material creations because that is what is needed for the flow so that material creations can solidify. But that is not how consciousness works, which is why you can't identify consciousness in your reality, in your material. You have yet to identify the energy of consciousness because it doesn't operate in the expected manner that you're looking for. So we're talking about a duality aspect is a fragment or an organic consciousness from this planet that comes and is split. And there's now two of them. And this is the collectivity that you find when you come back in and you merge together. And then that image that Todd put forth is appropriate, but it's not blue and red, and it's not plus and minus. There's just two halves of one consciousness. This is a very powerful compact rotation that is sought and desired for consciousness to obtain. So because there's a lot of power in this dual birotational toroidal sphere, so consciousness seeks it. This is duality. Twin ray are two fragments from the same source. Consciousness was considered a galactic consciousness that decides to split and sends two fragments to one place at the same time so that they can have an interaction together. This is Todd's seeing the light. The light is a certain octave. If you were to see light actually as consciousness, but that's not the case. You feel the energetic oscillations, and this would be the energetic oscillations would be the same from the base wavelength of the originating consciousness, and these would be what you would call a twin ray. Now, these two fragments, when they come together, become a very powerful force within whatever construct they're in, because they are at the same wavelength, base wavelength, and then as they come together in the incarnation, they are becoming a much brighter light. It would be as if you take 200 watt LED light bulbs and put them together. It would be much more intense than if you would just take, a 20 watt light bulb and turn it on. That's not a very good analogy. Okay, so let's consider that you have two light bulbs on a dimmer switch. Let's use that. Okay, you have two 50 watt light bulbs on a dimmer switch, and the switch is at 1/3 of its capacity, and the light is a certain level of illumination. Now, these twin rays have the octaves of co-resonance in their base wavelength, and they're going to shine much brighter when they come within proximity to each other, because the base wavelength is a co-resonant oscillation amplification. So instead of that dimmer switch being at 1/3, that dimmer switch will now be at 3/4 or all the way full, depending upon the awakening of the two fragments that are together. And this is the correlation of twin ray to duality, where duality is one fragment that has been split into so that it can have the birotational toroidal sphere rotation when they rejoin, which is desirable. And the other is the twin ray fragment, which are two fragments from the same originating consciousness that come to interact in a construct on purpose so that when they merge, their light shines that much brighter because of the oscillating wavelengths that they have that is sympathetic between the two. Did we answer that question?
And yes, and I think maybe part of the next one, but I'll ask anyway.
Ask.
What is the purpose of twin ray aspects meeting during embodiment?
Well, yeah, you're right. We did just say that. The amplification is And we know who is asking this question, and this person is considered an anchor, has been told this several times in different sessions that Todd has given with clients. And the point is the anchor. That is actually what the purpose is. So on a construct like this that is having trouble, that is stagnating because of the polarities and everything else that we've previously discussed that's going on here, these twin ray fragments come because they become this really bright beacon that anchors the energies of love, collectivity, unity, and ascension to the construct, which is this construct that everyone is in right now, and we're all concerned about moving forward into the new diverging construct. And so their purpose is on mission to come here, to find each other, to engage in that sympathetic co-resonant oscillation and increase the light wherever they are and spread it, and so that it moves around to other people. Because as you walk around with this kind of energy, you are impacting the other consciousnesses that you interact with, and you are going to dissipate the polarity and realign them into the positive unity polarity of source energy. Next question.
So how do twin rays reconcile and return to their totality of consciousness?
This is going to happen. They're here, they're together, and they're fragments, and when you drop your ego and you are done with this incarnation, either you're going to get sent on another mission as separate fragments, either together or separately, or if you're done with your missions, you're going to be reabsorbed into your source consciousness. It's not a big deal. I mean, it's not like a duality aspect. You're not going to merge and become the birotation. You're two separate fragments that are here in totality. You're not fragmented. You're not in duality. You're totality, but you're separate fragments. And now you're going back where you came from, or you're going on another mission. It's that simple. There's no they could merge together and then go back, but they're not going to be birotational because they're two separate fragments. They're not a single fragment that's been split into duality. That's a confusing concept that we're trying to impart here. Let us state it one more time. A fragment of a consciousness is a single rotational toroidal sphere. It comes down, and if it's coming to Earth and it wants duality, it will split, okay? But it's not going to split if it's going to be a twin ray. It's going to stay, and there's going to be another fragment just like it that's going to come in, and they're going to be on mission together with their sympathetic co-resonance shining very brighter than a regular consciousness would. And this is their mission. Now, when the mission is over, they are going to disembody as consciousness, and they're either going to go back home or they're going somewhere else. Next question.